Welcome to Off-Grid Shop Oregon. On this channel we do semi-manly stuff like make a Portaband stand out of wood. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks. Okay, so I got this old Milwaukee Portaband. It's not the best one ever. Got it off of Craigslist. And I wanted to be able to use it as a vertical bandsaw. And you can go on YouTube and find some real nice, ones made out of steel. You can buy kits made out of metal. And I was like, why can't you just make it out of wood? So I did. I used 2x3s that I got off of a pallet, I think. But 2x4s would work just fine. And then I have this piece of metal that I used as the table, but you could use a piece of plywood instead, no problem. So I made this like a year ago, so what I'm going to do is just kind of take it apart and put it back together, and then you'll get the idea. I mean, you can probably tell already what to do, but that's what we're going to look at today. All right, let's take this thing apart. Let's look at it when it's like this, I guess. So basically you got a plywood base, you got a couple 2x4s, I'm just going to call them 2x4s, got a couple 2x4s that sandwich the handle, got a couple uprights here so that you can come up with something to attach to the top handle. Let's keep going. Okay, so I forgot how I had done this. I thought that I had attached these pieces of wood together and then put them on there. But apparently I did it an even easier way. I just did them all to the bottom of the plywood. Alright, it's taken apart. Let's try and put it back together. Okay, let's put this together. So the length of these pieces is based on being high enough to reach the top handle, to go from, right about here all the way up to there. The length of this piece is the length of this side of the handle, and the length of the other piece is big enough to go on the short side of the handle. And it doesn't matter exactly what you do. These can't be too short, and these can't be too long. Otherwise, do whatever you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach one of these long guys. Previously marked out where these things are going to go roughly, so I know where to put the screws instead of just flying blind. I'll say these screws have a part that doesn't have threads, so that means it pulls the wood into the plywood. It's not trying to thread into the plywood as well. And to remind myself, let's see, this is the long side or the short side? That is the short side. Because of this thick part here, you can't just use these. You got to have these are basically spacers so that they can grab the handle. Now we're getting somewhere. Now you want it to hold the bottom of this bandsaw pretty tightly. So you put the bandsaw there, you take your block of wood that's going to hold it in, you make sure it's in there tight, and then you got to mark it. I marked it. Actually, maybe I didn't even mark it. But anyways, you got to make sure that's in there tight. Whoops. Man, heck, let's just keep going. Basically, do whatever you got to do so you get this thing in there nice and tight. Yeah, like that. Okay, so just prop it up, do whatever you got to do. You just want to make sure that it's in there. I guess I didn't really pre-drill anything, so that makes it easy. Okay, so now can't twist it. It's looking pretty good. Just make sure you're all right. Make sure that this thing will be somewhere close to the tops of these things without this thing being like way over or whatever. And then we'll take this out and put that on. Okay, so the next thing I did was I drilled a hole through this top handle so that I could get like a long screw through there. And this top handle is like solid, strong plastic, so that works pretty good. This is the old one. I imagine the new ones are still also strong as well. But okay, so now and then this is a piece of metal I have lying around. It's used to like whatever, put together houses, I guess. You could use plywood instead. Works nice if you have a piece of metal like this, though. You know, it doesn't have to be exactly like this, just anything close to this. Basically has some holes, and you're set. Let's put the thing in. So right there, it's feeling good, so I'm going to go with that point. Now to know where the metal piece goes, you attach it to the handle first. There you go, it's pretty rigid. Okay, so the saw comes with a little, I don't know what it's called. Anyways, it comes with a thing right here so that it'll hold your workpiece when you're using it, you know, by hand. I took that off, but it does leave you a couple holes to attach whatever you want. Now, I had this weird piece of aluminum sitting around, and I used it, but you got to countersink. You got to have the right kind of screws, and you got to countersink them correctly if you don't want to be flopping around. And I didn't do it right, so this thing flops around. So really, I would just do a piece of plywood instead. But I'm sure you can imagine what a piece of plywood would be like. But here you can see what some cool aluminum looks like. And if I didn't tell you that it was a piece of crap, you'd think I did a great job on this part and be like, ooh, look at that table. I wish I had a table like that. Here's the problem with it. It moves around, but whatever. It does hold stuff. So that's good. Something I forgot to mention is that I took some tape and here we go. I taped down the handle so it's always on. You plug it in, sucker starts running. I'm sure there's fancier, cooler ways you could do it to add a switch, but I didn't do that. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it cuts metal better than a hacksaw.